and speaking of that, I've been down here twice now, and we've talked nothing but band training when I'm down here. Give us a little insight. When I came down the first time, 2 or 3 areas that you have found, you deal with NFL players. These are the best of the best, when it comes to football. Where have you found that a resistance band can help that level of athlete? A couple areas that you've really injected it that you've had nice response to.
Well, the first and foremost, our entry level was with band flexibility.
Okay.
And we talked about that last year.
Yeah.
And you helped us refine those techniques and the latest ways to teach, latest teaching cues. We use that throughout the training year, in the off season, before every workout, in season after practice.
Okay. So you stretch after practice a lot.
We stretch before and after. But in the off season program, the band work is done before. We have more time available. During the in-season period, the band is part of our kind of cool down elongation. Much like you said, you did it. We'll have our guys circle up, and we just coach them through the movements. And it's a come down time for their bodies to unwind, for their muscles to unwind, to relax a little bit, and kind of restore to where they were before practice. So that was the entry level. That was the portal, should we say, for band training. We've always, like I said earlier, we've always used different modalities. The biggest part of our training program is our in-season program. In the off-season now, with the collective bargaining agreement, we have 9 weeks to train our guys.
Wow,
and there's football interjected in there, so it's titrated down. Where pure training, it's more limited with us. Now, when they come here in training camp, now we've got over 20 weeks from training camp through the Super Bowl. We can train our guys. So the bulk of our training comes in season.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So now, if that's the case, if your in-season program really is your program, you've got to be productive.
Yeah.
And how are you productive in training camp? Now there's bumps and bruises, fatigue. How are you productive in November and December? Bumps and bruises, week to week.
Yeah.
And that's where all the different modalities. And that's the second point of entry for the band training. The second sell point was as a valid and productive resistance training modality. Oh, I can't coach. I can't grip that barbell for the bench press. Or you know what? That really bothers my shoulder. Tell you what. Let's stand you up. Let's do a standing band press. Now I can tuck the elbow. He can maneuver the elbow placement, the shoulder extension, where now he can work through range of motion. Engage the core, getting more bang for the buck. Or we have some players that will train some after practice. Once again, now was it a Wednesday practice where he ran a lot of special teams rep, he's fatigued? It might be a band only workout. So thanks, coach. Hey, this is really good. Working around an injury.
Sure.
So as a substitute modality for energy levels, for orthopedic concerns, fresh as a speed modality to add some speed in a more controlled and safer environment versus a ballistic fluid movement. So once again, it's another training modality that we have entered into our program that has, in the course of over 20 weeks, with things that are undulating and changing week to week so much, based on playing status, fatigue, injury status, becomes one of the major modalities we use during the season.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not sure if we haven't talked about this, so this one's going to come right off the cuff. Bands are portable. Do you take them on the road?
We do.
You do. And when they're on the road, obviously, as a flexibility tool, obviously, do you find yourself actually being able to use them as a strengthening tool on the road? I mean, because on the road, you guys will leave on a Friday typically? Is that
for a West Coast trip on the Friday, for a road trip on Saturday.
On a Saturday. So it's really that. How do you use the bands on the road trip? Why do you take them on the road?
It's a funny thing it's funny when you talk about bringing bands on the road, and I'm smiling because we bring a bag of bands on the road, but that seems to be. And one thing you got to work on, Dave, bands grow legs.
They do. They do. They do.
They will.
And that's a good thing and a good thing and a bad thing.
We may go with 12 bands and come back with 9 or 10. And that's fine because we know the players are using them. But on a serious note, obviously, we'll bring a bag of bands and we'll come into the locker room and we're on the first bus to the locker room pregame. We'll lay out, we bring foam rollers, different soft tissue modalities,
Yep.
and we'll bring bands out and drape them up, all medicine balls all over the room.
So guys to just come
Guys just come in and they can, and it'll start with foam rolling and band flexibility. A lot of our linemen will wrap the bands around their back and just, we'll see them before they go out in their pads. You'll see guys in our locker room in full pads, just greasing up the firing up the pecs and triceps and shoulders and activation stuff.
Bingo.
Building a lather,
Yeah.
curls, just kind of getting the body heated up, pull aparts. Some of those basic activation exercises.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
on the road, it's mobility and activation.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really cool. Well, hey, thanks for taking the
Okay.
time. I appreciate it, and it's always great to
All
see
right.
you. All right.